high technologically advanced investments. My name is Alex Bubert.
I'm Anna Day.
Dylan Campbell.
And I'm Kenny Wells.
And before we really get into anything today, I just want to take a quick poll. How many of you guys have access to your own computer or one readily available to you? By show of hands. All right, yeah, that's what I thought. Now, when you're at home, do you have access to about 2 or more computers? Raise your hand if you do. Okay, so about a majority of us. So that's actually going to play into this a lot because that means it's going to relate to you. So going in just a little outline of our presentation, what we're going to start with is the industry analysis. Kind of, give you an outlook, tell you what's going on financially, go into the key drivers and the success factors, just get into stuff like that. Then we're going to go into the company analysis and the companies, there are 4 of them, Intuit, Akamai, Citrix, and Adobe Systems. We're going to give you some background on that, let you know what's going on with those companies, where they're at currently, and then at the end of this presentation, we're going to give you a final recommendation. After looking at all of those different companies, we're going to tell you what we think is the best one to invest in at this time. And so, just to give you a little background on what software publishing is, IBISWorld gives a great definition, down to the T, exactly what it is. But to make it a little easier to understand, I'm just going to say that software publishing is the market where you distribute and market software, as well as creating and offering support systems. So it's basically everything that involved in the technological field. And so, just giving a little outlook of the industry, IBISWorld has predicted that there will be growth in this industry in all aspects, all the way through 2018. So about 5 more years, there'll be positive growth. And that's also due to the economy that's been increasing throughout these years. And also a positive for this industry is cloud computing. Now, if you don't know what cloud computing is, it's basically a way to say it would be wireless file sharing. Imagine a cloud that you can remotely access files from without any cords or anything such as that. And give it over to Kenny with the financials of the industry.
Thank you, Alex. And I'm going to talk about the software publishing industry's financials. A very large and profitable industry. Its revenues total to about $190 billion, and it earns a profit of about $56 billion. And as you see here, its annual growth between our 5-year period that we're looking at, the year 2008 through 2013, is about 4.3%, and it's projected to grow another 1.7% into the continuing years until 2008. In the year 2009, the growth rate wasn't too strong, but all the rest of the years following it have shown a positive trend after that, as you can see. And I'm going to pass it on to Dylan.
The 3 major players of the software publishing industry are Microsoft, Oracle, and IBM. The concentration is low, although the barriers to entries are high. This is important. It is difficult to enter and to compete in this industry because of the demand for high and better technology, and there's a frequency of higher quality products being produced. That'll do it for the market share and major players. I'll pass it on to Anna and talk about the key drivers and success.
Thank you, Dylan. And to wrap up our industry overview, I'd like to just point out a few of the key drivers and success factors for this industry. And I think what's really important to keep in mind is the government consumption and investment, because governments are constantly seeking out new investments for security and other reasons. So this is a huge driver for this industry. And additionally, remember when Alex asked you the question about how many of you have household or computers in your household? This is another crucial driver, because according to IBISWorld, in 2018, over 85% of American households will have at least 1 computer. So this shows huge growth potential for this industry as well. Some important success factors include undertaking new research, as well as having a high profile within this market, and each of the companies we will be talking about today have mastered this. So the first company that we will be talking about is Intuit. Intuit is a company that provides software for small businesses, accountants, and individuals that help them with their financial process. So in short, Intuit's goal is to simplify the way that finances are operated by their entire customer base. Intuit was founded in 1993 by Tom Pulks and Scott Cook. Tom Pulks was a mastermind at computer coding, and Scott Cook had a strong marketing background. So their combined expertise and effort laid a really strong foundation for Intuit as a company. To build upon this foundation, they were able to create QuickBooks and TurboTax in 1992 and 1993. These became rapidly successful, and I'm sure most of you know these brands as they're super successful and popular even up till today. Because of the success of these products, they were able to become public on the NASDAQ in 1993. And since then, the share price has steadily increased. Because of this, in 1995, Intuit caught the attention of Microsoft. Microsoft tried to purchase Intuit, however, they were stopped by an antitrust lawsuit against them. And although their attempt at acquisition was unsuccessful, this really added value to the Intuit name and gave a boost to their products, as well as putting them at the forefront of the software publishing industry. After this, in the early 2000s up till present day, it could be described as the era of acquisitions and business expansion for Intuit. Since the early 2000s on, Intuit has made multiple acquisitions, including companies such as American Fundware, Management Reports, Eclipse, Payroll, Blue Ocean Software, and most recently PayCycle and DocStock. All of these acquisitions have been really helpful at expanding Intuit's customer base and giving them a stronger hold on the financial aspect of software publishing industry. Part of the success can be due to Brad Smith becoming CEO in 2008. Prior to him being CEO, he had been with the company for 5 years and worked his way up through management positions, including managing the entire QuickBooks program. After becoming CEO, he established 3 main goals that can be summarized as first, creating a great first-time user experience for his customers. Second, using contributing efforts of third-party developers to add value to the products and make them easier to use. And third, to make sure that each customer can provide feedback to improve the quality of Intuit products to make sure that they are receiving the best product that they possibly can. Brad Smith has been extremely successful in his goals, and this can be shown through the financials of Intuit. Here we have the revenue and net income from 2009 to 2013. As you can see, both are steadily increasing, and the revenue has reached $4.17 billion, proving that how lucrative Intuit has become. Although the revenue has slowed a little bit from 2012 to 2013, the net income has steadily increased, which proves the profitability of Intuit as a company. This profit is also shown through this profit margin chart. The profit margin represents the amount of money they're able to retain from their revenues. And it has steadily increased with only a slight dip from 2010 to 2011. But as of 2013, they were able to hold on to 20.6% of their revenues, which is a huge portion that they're able to retain. Here we show the share price of Intuit from 2009 to present day. From 2009 to 2013 alone, the share price grew 148%. This is a huge spike in share price, and it is only continuing into present day. Despite how dramatic it is, the share price is continuing to grow. As a few days ago, it was 79.91, but now it's up in the 80s. With this huge spike in share price, it is promising to see that the PE ratio has also remained stable over the past 5 years. The PE ratio hasn't left 22 to 27 in the past 5 years, which shows the stability and will allow the share price to continue growing and remaining stable in the future. Now, Intuit holds a 2.3% market share, which seems small, but compared to the big 3 companies and the other companies that are in this industry that are around the same size of Intuit, this is a really strong hold. So combined with the strong hold and the positive financials, the Wall Street recommendation leans toward buying this stock. 4 out of 8 of the analysts recommend buying, 2 recommend holding on to it, and only 1 recommend selling it. So this shows a really positive outlook for Intuit with the Wall Street recommendations. A different perspectives Value Line reports that has stated that Intuit, they believe, has already grown the majority of their growth, which doesn't mean they will decline their growth or stop in the future, but probably just slow down the growth in the future. So now I'd like to turn it over to Alex with Akamai Technologies.
Thank you, Anna. Okay, so a little background on Akamai. Akamai is very into web securities as well as cloud computing. Those are the big two that they're going after right now. So like I said earlier, cloud computing, wireless file sharing, if you will. Going into the company's history, I'm not really going to talk about the founding as much as like the more business side as I am right now. So, for example, 2000, Akamai, after going public in 1999, ended up acquiring some very valuable clientele, such as IBM, BMG, and CNN. This is very important for Akamai because once they did this, they're now, I guess, as you could say, in the face of everyone else because they have acquired clients such as CNN, these big name clients that are letting their name go out. 2005, Akamai released a web application accelerator, which was basically a way to speed up your computer and how it process things through applications. So let's say, for example, Intuit, if they had like Quicken Loans, this web application accelerator would make it go through faster. It's just a way to help the consumer out. In 2009, Akamai launched a Games on the Edge portal, and I'm not going to say it revolutionized online gaming because it didn't, but it did give a very significant increase to the speed at which online games were played, how well they connected. It really helped out how that industry worked out. And then in 2010, Netflix chose Akamai as their primary network partner, which means that whenever you access Netflix, if any of you guys have Netflix accounts, which I'm sure many of you do, you're actually going through part of Akamai. Akamai's systems are working through there. They've got their software as you're streaming your favorite shows, favorite movies. The CEO, Dr. Tom Leighton, he became the CEO in January of 2013. Now a little background on Dr. Tom. He was summa cum laude with a Bachelor of Science in Engineering from Princeton, then went on to get a PhD in mathematics from MIT, which is where Akamai was started. Akamai was started at MIT by a bunch of grad students, or I'm sorry, postdoctoral students, such as Dr. Tom Leighton. Dr. Tom was involved with the technology side of the company, so he wasn't really front office work until January of 2013. That's when he finally switched over and assumed front office roles. Now, his biggest thing is innovation. That's what he prides Akamai on. In fact, that's what the mission statement is, to accelerate innovation in the hyper-connected world. So going on to the financials for Akamai, here's a chart of the revenue and net income. As you can see, both are increasing, just like Intuit's, just like a lot of other ones, with the revenue topping off at $1.5 billion in 2013, with the 293 net income in 2013 as well. So I mean, there's a big number difference between these two, but that's also because this is a software technology industry. The expenses are very high. You have to calculate it out. Going to profit margin, like Anna said, it's the money that the company can retain. And besides 2012, where there was a slight dip, the profit margin stayed relatively the same, about 17 to 18% besides 14 in 2012. So that's showing positive signs. Going to the share price and its fluctuation from 2009 to the present day. As you can see, from 2009 to 2010, there's a drastic increase from 25.34 to 47.05, which is showing great signs, but sadly in 2011, the price dropped a little bit. That could be due to a lapse in the economy, due to disposable income not being as around as the companies would like. Software goes down. But ever since then, it's just been a positive trend up. In fact, the closing price in 2013 was $47.18, and 2 weeks ago, the share price was at 62, but it's fallen to 59 as of today. Going over the PE ratio, besides 2010, it's really stayed relatively the same, not too overinflated, staying around the same way. And going off to the market share, Akamai holds 0.7%. I mean, you have the big three, so they do hold a lot of weight, 33.5, like we said earlier. But taking this into account, Morningstar, with their assessments, first off, know that the industry is growing. It's just the way technology is going in our society. There's no way it's going to stop. And also, Akamai, with their diversified products, really make an effort to reach out to different consumers, so they won't limit themselves. And Yahoo, on a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being sell right now and 1 being to buy, they rank Akamai at 2.2, which is a definitely buy now. This is the perfect time to buy. And with that, I'll give it over to Dylan Citrix.
Thank you. Citrix Systems is products and services that we found all over the globe. With over 8,000 employees, Citrix focuses on desktop virtualization and cloud computing. These services provide products like Zen Mobile, with the ability to help businesses be more mobile, flexible, and they help data security. Some of you may or may not have heard of Citrix, but when you go to a computer in the library, any Elon-related, Elon-owned computer, it'll show Citrix when you log in. Now to the company history, it was founded in 1989 in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, by 3 former IBM executives who worked in the PC division. In 1995, Citrix went public, and then they began their license with Microsoft, which lasts until today. They made agreements for the Microsoft Windows NT server, which was important for the development of the Windows 2000 computer, which is very successful for Microsoft. In 2000, Citrix began to expand their operations globally. So they started in India and then worked their way to Europe, South America. It's important to have a global network of customers. In 2007, Citrix and Microsoft provided solutions to desktop and server virtualization, which helped them expand, which helped them create more customers. They were able to reach out to customers more easily, so they could have a large consumer base. In 2012, Citrix partnered with Palo Alto, and this helped them form the identity of having the most efficient and effective desktop virtualization solutions. Now on to the CEO, Mark Templeton. He is the CEO of Citrix. He started Citrix when they became public in 1995. He was the vice president of marketing at the time. And 3 years later, in 1998, he became president. And then in 2001, he became CEO. So his current job title is president and CEO of Citrix. He's always been a strong advocate for desktop virtualization since he started. He's always believed that that was the key to Citrix's future success in the industry, and he holds on to that belief. It's also shown in his mission that their technologies help people work better and live better. Now on to the financials. Revenue from 2009 to 2013 has increased by 80% to $2.9 billion. The reason for this could be the advancements in desktop virtualization. It's predicted to grow by 14.8% through 2017. Net income also increases by 77%. However, in 2011, as you can see, it starts to decline. Profit margin also shows a similar pattern to net income. The number, well, it increases from 2009 to 2011 to 16.1. Like Anna and Alex said, it's the amount that we keep from the revenue. However, it begins to decrease. This is from 2009 to 2013. It's a 0.3% decrease in profit margin. The share price shows a different pattern. It's very low in the beginning, for 41.61, and then it increases 39.2% 68.41. The low number in the beginning could be caused by the recession, the recession all over the world. And then the staggering increase could be because of the amount of companies that have come out of the recession and decide that they want to spend more money in investments. And after 2010, it never reaches above the point that it was at 68. It never goes above it at year's end. It continues to drop. The PE ratio shows a similar pattern to the share price. Citrix wants this to be stable. However, large drop from 2010 to 2011. However, from 2011 to 2013, it shows a steady price, and that is a positive sign for Citrix. Citrix claims 1.5% of the market share in the software publishing industry. This may seem like a small number, but however, because there's a low concentration of companies, they're definitely they're an important player in the industry. There's also many analysts have made assessments about their the shareholders recommending certain prices and what they should do. And Yahoo Finance, according to Yahoo Finance, 5% of the 37 analysts recommend selling shares of Citrix. And this is important because it shows that many analysts believe that they have a promising future. The price may increase. Norman Young, a senior analyst from Morningstar, believes that there's a good future for desktop virtualization. Many companies the price of storage and networking is lower, which makes mobile solutions people like to buy those. And then Gary Burkett, also from Morningstar, projects 17% annualized growth for revenue through 2017. And that concludes my presentation. I'd like to pass it on to Kenny.
Thank you, Dylan. And I'm going to be presenting Adobe Systems Incorporated. Adobe Systems is responsible for the creation of software, and their goal is to be the tool of which web designers and web developers use to develop new technologies. Okay, and now I'm going to give a brief history of Adobe. In 1982, Adobe was founded by Charles Geschke and John Warnock, and a year later the company went public. And in 1987, Adobe established a European market in a subsidiary called Adobe Systems Europe. And in 1994, Adobe bought a software publishing company called Aldus, who's famous for their PageMaker software. And in 2009, they acquired Omniture for $1.8 billion, who is an online marketing website. So they used Omniture to increase their marketing sales. And in 2013, unfortunately, they were attacked by a cybersecurity breach in which 3 million of their customers were attacked by an online hacker, and their identity and their accounts were compromised as a result of that, which decreased the overall revenue of Adobe. Here is Adobe CEO, Shantanu Narayan. In 2007, he became CEO of Adobe Systems. Prior to working at Adobe, he was employed as the director of Dell Incorporated. He received his undergraduate degree from Osmania University, then went on to receive his graduate degree at Bowling Green State University, and received his MBA from the Haas School of Business at the University of California at Berkeley. And he's currently a member of the U.S. President's Management Advisory Board, where he mainly just talks about new technologies and what's fresh in the software publishing industry market. And here are some of Adobe's financials. It's shown an upward trend due to new technologies and PDF files and Adobe Flash player that they've adopted and upgraded throughout the years. And in 2013, as I mentioned previously, they underwent the cybersecurity breach, which, as you can see, decreased their revenues. As actually everyone before me had mentioned, their profit margin is a reflection of the net income and the revenues. So as you can see, the trend is similar to the slide before, and just like in 2013, the revenues decreased, which also decreased their profit margin. The share price has shown unpredictability. However, from 2011 to 2013, it has shown an upward trend. And ironically, in 2013, it reached a high of 59.8, and that is actually due to the cloud computing software that Alex mentioned earlier. And here's Adobe's PE ratio as it correlates to the S&P 500. In the years previous to 2013, it stayed pretty consistent with the S&P 500. However, in 2013, there was a major inflation, as you can see, and this is actually detrimental to Adobe's success because due to the inflation, the only thing they can do in the years following is decrease. Adobe contains 1.0% of the market share of the software publishing industry. The analyst of Yahoo Finance projected there to be a 20% growth in sales, and they predict the revenues to reach about $5 billion in 2015. The analyst in Morningstar spoke about the move to the cloud and a new pricing strategy, which is predicted to increase sales in the coming years. Now, after hearing about all the companies that we've brought to you, the main question is, what company should we invest in? And collectively, we've decided that Intuit is the best company for excuse me, integrity investments to invest in. And now we're going to compare our companies to Intuit and show you the reasons why we came to our conclusion. Unlike Intuit, Adobe Systems trends and growth have just been unpredictable. It's kind of hard to measure, where they're going to go and how they're going to fare in the market in the continuing years. Their growth rate and their share price was only 67% as in relation to 148% for Intuit from our 5-year period. Its profit margin, Adobe's profit margin hasn't exceeded 20% since 2010, and Intuit's profit margin right now is 21%. Excuse me. And Adobe, unfortunately, like I mentioned, had the cybersecurity breach, which they're still being negatively affected by, and they're losing customers as a result of that. Whereas Intuit is still making acquisitions and expanding their consumer base. And now we're going to pass it on to Dylan.
Desktop virtualization, while it is expected to grow 14.8%, the net income and share price have not shown any growth. In fact, they've declined over the past few years. Whereas there's been positive trend, there's been positive growth all over the board for Intuit. Analysts, although not many have said that they should sell shares of Citrix, they do warn shareholders that there's a large risk of buying. So they should always be cautious of that. Whereas half of the Wall Street recommendations have said to buy shares of Intuit. And that's my recommendation. I'd like to pass it over to Alan.
Okay, now when we're getting to Akamai, first off, Akamai is a great company to invest in right now. There's a lot of things that are going well for the company. As you can see when I showed my charts, there are a lot of upward trends in all graphs. The share price has grown 86% in the past 5 years. Profit margin 18%, really good stuff. But the problem is it's just not as good as Intuit. Intuit's just doing everything a little better. For example, share price has grown 148% in that same span. Profit margin sitting at 20.6% at that time. Intuit owns things that people really know, such as QuickBooks, TurboTax, stable brands that many people use. So that's why Intuit gets the edge over Akamai. And turning over to Anna for the final.
So I won't repeat them too much, but it's pretty clear that Intuit is the most solid company to invest in because of all the upward trends. The stock price is stable and increasing, the revenues are stable and increasing, so is the net income. So we really believe that because of Brad Smith and his leadership skills and his goals to expand his company into the future and make his products as good as they can possibly be, that Intuit will only expand as a company in the future and will be the best and most lucrative investment for Integrity Investments. So thank you so much for listening to our presentation, and if there's any questions, we'd be happy to answer them.
So you talked about in your industry analysis that the industry had really high barriers to entry and a low concentration. So how do you think that Intuit's going to expand their business and grow in the future with such a crowded industry with powerful competition?
Well, based on the industry, the three major players, Microsoft, IBM, and Oracle, have 33.5%, but Intuit has the next strongest hold in this industry. So 2.3% is actually a huge hold, and Brad Smith wants to increase his globalization and expand his customer base through these acquisitions. He's broken into new industries such as PayCycle. Has he acquired PayCycle? That kind of broke him into the financial aspect of hospital industries. So there's new industries that he's breaking into through this financial software, and which puts him in a really strong position in the software publishing industry.
But another negative towards many of your companies, I'm not sure if this applies to everyone, but that like the technology industry is always changing. I know with QuickBooks, it's pretty stable. I mean, many businesses have used it for many years, but like also the fact like how many times do you have to do updates for that? So I don't know how does your company compare to the industry and how it's always changing?
As an Intuit or
Just any just the companies that you guys are all representing.
well, the way that the market's going so far, the price for the actual hardware is going down. So most of for example, if you're buying a computer that's fully loaded, most of the money that you're spending is going towards the software. And like you said, things are changing all the time, which is why the market is steady. Because there's these continual updates, because you're always fixing something, making it better, you'll always have that demand for the software to continually update. You don't want, for example, web security, because you don't want a hacker who figured out the slip to immediately be able to hack everyone and Akamai can't do anything about it. No, they're going to continue to update, they're going to fix things when they see it, and that's kind of how the industry is just going to keep propelling itself forward.
Oh, and just adding on to that, IBISWorld mentioned that in the coming years, the sales for, I guess, in-home computers is actually growing, and that's where a majority of our industry, our revenue comes from, is like the household sales of computers.
What do you mean by household? Like personal?
Like just basically more people buying personal computers for their homes.
Their laptops, desktops.
Right.
I think we have time for one more question.
Just a question. A lot of software today is free online, so are any of your companies looking at ways to add like a purchase incentive to buy the upgraded edition, or not necessarily get the version you can just get online for your software? Like, are they marketing to corporations mostly, or are they focusing on individual consumers that has a hold of?
For example, Intuit, they focus on individuals as well as accountants and small businesses. So a lot of their revenues is coming from the small businesses who want to purchase the most up-to-date software to remain competitive within their own industry. So really, to remain competitive, you need the most up-to-date software, which is why a lot of the small businesses are the ones who kind of propel the sales.
Thank you.